The true cost of war in Gaza is measured in both lives lost and buildings reduced to dust. With an estimated $70 billion required for reconstruction, the global community now faces a monumental and urgent question. Will this time be different? All eyes are on the upcoming Gaza Reconstruction Conference in Cairo, a pivotal moment where political will must translate into tangible action. Egypt's role in leading regional efforts is crucial, building on the framework set by the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit to finally unify international efforts for lasting peace. In this episode, we examine what the world owes Gaza. Beyond the massive funding, this reconstruction process faces immense challenges: effective oversight, addressing urgent humanitarian needs, rebuilding vital infrastructure. What then must the international community bring to the table to make this moment count? Welcome to In Depth. Rebuilding Gaza is estimated to cost $70 billion, according to a joint damage and needs assessment by the United Nations, the European Union, and the World Bank. According to Arab News, UN official recently indicated that there are promising early indications from several nations, including the United States and various Arab and European states, about their willingness to contribute to the reconstruction cost. However, even with a ceasefire in effect, many questions about the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip remain. The UN official also highlighted the immense scale of the destruction, noting that the war generated at least 55 million tons of rubble and that full recovery could take decades. In preparation for Egypt's upcoming international conference on Gaza's reconstruction, Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa recently held a phone conversation on the issue. According to Egypt Today, the call focused on preparations for the conference scheduled for the second half of November in Cairo, which addresses early recovery, reconstruction, and development in Gaza. Their discussions covered all the aspects of the conference's objectives and expected outcomes, especially regarding funding and financial pledges, as well as updating the assessment of the destruction within the Gaza Strip. This preparation coincides with the Palestinian Prime Minister's announcement that the Palestinian Authority has developed a 5-year, 3-phase reconstruction plan for Gaza. And for more on this, joining us is Mr. Munir Nasiba, a human rights lawyer and academic based in Al-Quds University, who joins us from occupied Jerusalem. And from Paris, we're joined by Mr. Majid Boudin, international law professor. Welcome to Qnews, and I would start with you, Mr. Munir. Now, $70 billion is a massive figure for Gaza's reconstruction. What level of financial commitment is required from the international community, not just in pledges, but in tangible, mobilized resources to begin real progress on the ground?
Thank you for having me. First, it's important maybe to say here that the original responsibility for rebuilding Gaza, if we speak legally, is upon the state of Israel, first and foremost, because it has destroyed Gaza um, contrary to international legal obligations. It has done that within a policy of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, which means that it has to be doing that. However, we understand that the reality, the unfortunate reality, based on the imbalance of power and the lack of political commitment by many of the important political powers in the world to human rights and to international law, that this will not be happening soon. Gaza needs to be revived as soon as possible. The level of destruction that Israel has produced in the Gaza Strip is unimaginable, and every person in the Gaza Strip is affected by the level of destruction, and therefore we need uh, very quick reparation and very quick rebuilding, reconstruction of Gaza so that this area of land can be inhabitable again by its people. So it's very important that any state that has pledged a sum of money, that it will indeed provide this money for the reconstruction. And certainly, this does not mean that those who have been responsible for the genocide, including Israel, including countries that have supported the Israeli genocide and funded the Israeli genocide and armed the Israeli genocide, are not liable. But this can be, something that can be worked on over a number of years through diplomatic means, through legal means, through the International Court of Justice, through other, legal means. But at the moment, any country that might provide assistance for the rebuilding of Gaza is, this is an essential intervention, basically, that countries should do.
Mr. Majid, funding is one thing, but how will the international community ensure consistent, sustained commitment to a long reconstruction process?
This is a reparation, first of all, and this reparation will lead to reconstruct Gaza. This is the aim. This is a good thing to be now achieved, and we have to focus on that point. The international community must focus on that, because this is the final point. This is the target now, is to reconstruct Gaza.
Yes.
But when you reconstruct, you have to have who will be the recipient of this reconstruction. The title of property, it's important here. We are in a disputed party. We have a colonization system. Israel has colonized. It's a fact that Israel must repair. And this is what is said in international law. But beyond this question, which is essential and which will be addressed, why it should be addressed. The first point is it's a fact that international law make an obligation for the aggressor to repair the damages that this aggressor, which is Israel here, has imposed on the Palestinian people. But the second point is simply to not make possible that this destruction will come back again, will be renewed. And it's important, because if Israel, which has destructed Gaza several times and the Palestinian territory several times, will not be called for the reparation, Israel will continue to destroy again. And what for to reconstruct Gaza today if in few months or few years Israel will come back and destroy all Gaza again, and then we'll call on the international community and say, oh, please come and reconstruct, and Israel is kept away from this. Point.
Yes, so this is a vicious circle that we need to put an end to. Now, Mr. Munir, what concrete guarantees must be secured, taking from what Mr. Boudin just said, from both regional and international actors to prevent renewed cycles of destruction and safeguard the enormous investment required for rebuilding?
Basically, Israel still does not recognize and acknowledge wrongdoing during its genocide and war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Gaza Strip. This is very dangerous. It's very important that Israel is held to account, that there will be continuous diplomatic and legal pressure upon Israel and its leaders in order to make sure that Israel will never again attack not only Gaza, but any other place in the world in the same way, that it will not be using this type of force in order to bring about its colonial and political objectives. I mean, we know not that Gaza Strip has been destroyed in this way, but if you look at the south of Lebanon, you will also see that hundreds of structures, including schools, have also been demolished in the same way. So Israel is using this as a methodology whenever it wants to bring about and enforce certain objectives. It uses this mass destruction as a way to, to force its enemies and adversaries to eventually surrender. This is illegal, and therefore, the international community, through the United Nations, but also through regional organizations like the Arab League, like the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, like the African Union, like the European Union, have an obligation to continue. Not to think, okay, now the war is over, everything is over. It's not over. The genocide is still continuing, the starvation is still continuing, but also Israel has never paid the bills of its mass destruction and of its war crimes and crimes against humanity. Once you do not pay the bill, it means that it's very likely that you will be doing that again. And
Yes,
this
as
is
Mr.
the
Majid said, yes. Mr. Majid, from a humanitarian perspective, what essential infrastructure must be prioritized for immediate rehabilitation, and how quickly can these critical services be restored?
It's a very essential issue. We always we think about the reconstruction of infrastructure, but there is a more important thing which should be parallel to that. Is the reconstruction of the humans, of the people, of each individual in Gaza, because these people have suffered 2 years, more than 2 years of continuous bombing, and they have a post-trauma that should be cured, should be followed, should be addressed. And this is important. Why it's important? Because a person who will not feel well, he will not live nicely in a palace, okay, or in a reconstructed place. He must be reconstructed first, and then we have to address. We can do it. We have to do it in parallel. But the international community should not forget this or miss this point.
Yes.
The other part of reconstruction is, it's fine that the international community must reconstruct. It's good, but it will be a transaction here. We will have tenders with companies. They will reconstruct, and it's fine. When they finish this reconstruction, they will transfer the property to somebody who will be this entity. This is why the political issue should be addressed in the same time that these infrastructure will be transferred, handed over to the
governance in Gaza, right?
A new political authority,
Yes.
which the Palestinian state reviewed to be able to receive this title of property for its land and infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Munir, now reconstruction often focuses on rebuilding, but how is the conversation shifting towards sustainable reconstruction, one that incorporates long-term development, economic recovery, and also resilience?
I think that this is a very important part of the conversation. And maybe if we recall, a few months ago, Egypt proposed a reconstruction plan. And within this reconstruction plan, It also, together with its partners, imagined a different, Gaza in a new way. Of course, the level of destruction is huge, but this also means that you can do a reconstruction that takes into account a lot of different details, including sustainable development. One of the good ideas that came out of the Egyptian plan, for example, was to throw a lot of the rubble into the sea, which means enlarging the overall territory of the Gaza Strip, which means the ability to incorporate, housing for the population of the Gaza Strip. We all know that Gaza Strip is one of the densest areas in the world, even before the destruction. Of course, now the density is unimaginable because people are living in refugee camps within the Gaza Strip. But even before that, it was very dense. So it's very important to imagine and to be creative during the reconstruction in a way that allows the Gaza Strip to flourish, to be developed greatly, and but of course this needs freedom in action. If Israel continues to restrict material, to restrict the reconstruction in the Gaza Strip as it has been doing over the decades, then this will not be possible. Therefore, it's very important to continue the diplomatic pressure on Israel in order to make sure that it will not be able to restrict this very important process.
Yes. Mr. Majid, what is the single most important lesson the international community must draw from the past 2 years of war to break the recurring cycle of destruction and humanitarian crisis?
I mean, this is also a key issue. It's to avoid this infernal cycle of violence, of destruction, and of others who pay for what Israel is doing. Number one is to have the peacekeeping force should have the authority on all Gaza, and to have control on the access to Gaza, and to not allow Israel to have control on the access of Gaza, and like Rafah from the Palestinian side, which is controlled by the Israelis, and to leave it free so people can, so the food and supply, and now for the construction supply, could come from Rafah. Also, the control of the sea, which should be under the peacekeeping force and not under Israel control, and to also for the air, to not have the Israeli Air Force who is controlling the sky of Gaza. So all these matters are important. The control of the construction of the port, the tenders to construct the port must be supervised by the international community, not by Israel, to decide on the size of the port, how it will be, what are the specifications of this port, and what is the specification of the airport, and also to have in this program, when you look at $70 billion of cost, when you see that the GDP in the world is $114 trillion. So the international community, which is sharing the responsibility also for being silent for a long time on this massacre, it's very important that they contribute, and it's peanuts comparing to the GDP in the world. So the matter is not a matter of money. The matter is now how to establish peace through the reconstruction. And when we do that, we have also to not forget in this peace plan and the reconstruction plan, how to link Gaza to the West Bank to avoid continuing that the problem now could happen in the West Bank. So we have to tackle the problem in all its dimensions.
Yes,
and
exactly. Okay.
to have a road or a tunnel something on which the international community must find an agreement. So there is what we call the continuity of the territory of the Palestinian state.
Sustainability, yes. Mr. Munir, at this point, what concrete outcome from the ongoing diplomatic and international efforts would be sufficient to convince Palestinians that a path towards sustainable recovery and reconstruction is truly underway?
This is a difficult question. I mean, the answer is easy, but the implementation is difficult. Israel has been strangling the Palestinian population everywhere, but especially in the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip has been under the control of the Israeli army for a long period of time, where they have actually prevented any normal way of life. They have always controlled the boundaries. They have controlled the sea. Even fishermen always found it were always challenged by the Israeli army, and in many cases shot and arrested, etc., only because they were trying to exercise their rights. But a similar situation is also in the West Bank, including Jerusalem and in the rest of the territory where Palestinians live. And the only way that Palestinians can start to believe that something positive is happening is when they see that the Israeli grasp on the Palestinian territory is not the same, that that Israel is not controlling the Gaza Strip or the West Bank anymore, that Israel is deciding eventually to leave the Palestinians alone, let them flourish, let them live, let them build. This is something we have never experienced in our lives, but as long as as long as the Israeli control over the Palestinian territory is not changing, and as long as Israel is still able to control every aspect of Palestinian life and implement this apartheid regime over the Palestinian people, it is very difficult for Palestinians to really believe that things have changed. And unfortunately, Donald Trump, even though he has been peace, but his language, his unlimited support to Israel, would show us a totally different outcome, unfortunately.
Yes. Mr. Majid, Egypt's hosting of the Cairo conference in November follows a technical meeting in the UK. How critical is this early coordinated diplomatic engagement to the overall success of the reconstruction effort?
The hosting of Egypt to this conference is very important, and Egypt will participate in the technical conference also in the UK, because the implementation will be in the area. So the implementation is not a second phase. The implementation must start with the technical conference in the UK. It means how the international community is going to design the reconstruction. The conception of the reconstruction is a crucial point, and the countries of the area must be a very active part in this in the conceptualization of the project. How this will be, what are the items that we are going to do, what are the specifications, what are the needs, and the population of the Palestinian state must be associated in that to see how this will be. The architecture must be drawn up in this conference in the UK and in Cairo in the same time, and then the implementation should continue in this way. And there is a control that that all the countries of the area should exercise from now. And this is important, that this will be followed, monitored in a very closely way, because how we draw the map, how we draw the infrastructure, how we will construct it, it's crucial, because this we cannot change it afterwards. This is a very important matter, and this must be decided and with the agreement of the Palestinians and of the countries in the area, because this will open the door for the day after the reconstruction. Because after the reconstruction, we need two things. First of all, we need that the reconstruction is made in a proper way. And second, that the reconstruction will lead to a cooperation in the area afterwards for a on a long-term basis and on a sustainable basis.
Yes. Mr. Munir, beyond pledged donations, what are the most significant financial obstacles facing the reconstruction process?
The Israeli control. For sure, it's the Israeli control, which is strangling also the Palestinian economy. Israel is preventing also bank transfers to Gaza. It is stopping organizations, some of the organizations that used to,
Funds.
take care of orphans or take care of many other, needs in the Gaza Strip. It has prevented them from working. Gaza Strip. Israel has control over Palestinian banking system in many ways as well. And the US also supports the Israeli action, and in many cases sanctions individuals or organizations that are active in Palestine. So the Israeli all over the Palestinian land actually affects the economy very negatively. See, Gaza, as well as the rest of Palestine, has been built by our ancestors without international funding, without donations, without charity. We do not need charity. What we need is to be left alone, to be able to build our own land, to be able to plant our farms, the farms that have been destroyed and the trees that have been uprooted by the Israeli genocidal campaign in the Gaza Strip have been planted by our ancestors for centuries. And then Israel came and destroyed it, very quickly. So just if they leave, in addition to all the donations that will happen for the reconstruction, if they just leave the Palestinians to build their own home, to build their own land, that would be, of course, it will take a very long time because the level of destruction is huge. But as long as the Israeli control over Palestine is continuing, it's very unlikely that good reconstruction can take place. So first and foremost, pressure to end Israeli control.
Yes. Mr. Majid, UN official mentioned that full recovery could take decades. What are the main factors that contribute to that extremely long timeline?
Well, the UN should revise its thoughts about this. It's a matter of will. It's a matter of possibilities, and the Palestinian people must not pay a high price for the reconstruction in time, because time is money, time is value, time is lives. So the UN could speed up, the international community could speed up this. And remember the Marshall Plan. We have to think about the Marshall Plan worked in few years. Europe was destroyed by the Hitler regime, and the US put a lot of money in it, and then they got a lot of money out of it, and the Marshall Plan has worked, and Europe came back to the very important industrial power. So here, it's a matter of a reconstruction could be made in few years, not in few decades. Few decades, it means that the lives will be lost, people will lose their hopes, and poverty will grow. Poverty will not wait. Poverty is growing every second, every minute, every hour. So reconstruction should be speed up, and we have the capacity, the international community had the capacity to reconstruct. So we have to put the basis of the reconstruction, the legal basis, the economic basis, the financial basis, and create an environment of protection, of security for the population of Gaza and for the investors that they are coming to Gaza. So the program will be made in a speedy way, and few years it's possible to reconstruct a few years. What is Gaza? In fact, it's a small piece of land. So, and we have 2 million people. We have reconstructed Europe after the Second World War with hundreds of millions of people in few years. So we have seen in Europe the destruction ended in 1945, and in 1948, 1950, the Marshall Plan was working in a perfect way.
Yes, I get your point. I'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Majid Boudin, international law professor. Thank you so much. And also Mr. Munir Nosiba, human rights lawyer and academic based in Al-Quds University. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's episode. For In Depth, Aman Al-Hamalawi, thank you very much for joining us.